So a lot of you already know the man, the myth, the legend behind All Gas No Brakes, Andrew.
Yo,
And
what's good?
what's up, dude? We just watched your latest video in Minneapolis, where you went. I'm assuming it was the first night, right, of the protest.
Yeah, it was the first night and the second night, basically. Like most of the crazy B-roll, like of the big crowds, is from the first night, but then the second night is when you saw all of that Kmart footage and stuff like that.
First of all, we love your content here. We love your content on Twitch across the board. Like
Oh, thanks,
probably
man.
every massive creator on the platform watches your videos and loves them. But where are you right now? Don't dox yourself if you don't want to. But
I'm in the like parking lot behind a Goodwill, just chilling. There's a lot of wind, so I came to a place where there wouldn't be so much wind interference.
oh, true. Wait, are you still in Minnesota?
No, I'm in Nashville. I was only in Minnesota for like 2 days, man. I was really in and out because my RV was in Orlando, so I flew from Orlando. I was at the Sausage Castle when all of this started happening, if you know what that is.
Oh, I know what the Sausage Castle is. Wait, did that video come out already? Did you do one already?
No, I wasn't even making a video on the Sausage Castle. I was just hanging out and doing a podcast with the dude who runs it. And I saw everything happening in Minneapolis. And my first thought was like, man, I make mostly funny videos. I probably shouldn't go cover something that is like that, super sensitive. But then I was like, you know what, f- that. I'm going to use this as an opportunity to make my first like serious video about something I care about. So I went and did that. I came back, and now I'm in Nashville. We're driving to the Missouri Monster Truck Festival.
Dude, yeah, I mean, you did the. I think the first video I ever watched of yours was the Trump, or it was the Eric Trump bookstore, the Triggered. Was that
The Donald Trump Jr. book release party in Birmingham.
Or not Eric Trump, yeah, Donald Trump Jr. book release party.
Yeah.
Very,
Dude,
very
that's
cool.
a crazy video, man.
It's so good. So yeah, we love all your videos. I just wanted to I wanted to hear more about the man behind the camera, or I guess like what you're all about, how you got started, because now you have a deal as well, right? You have a deal with the Tim and Eric guys. Whatever you can talk about and whatever you want to promote, go off.
So I started my career in like media. Like when I used to hitchhike alone a lot as a teenager and just like write stories and collect stories from people on the road, like people at motels and like bus stations and stuff like that. So I started off writing, and I'd write like little zines about road stories. That's what I did for fun because I was so bored. Started selling books, but realized that people don't like reading that much. So I was like, damn, how can I show all this like weird road world? And I was like, damn, let me start making videos. So I kind of just started doing that. I started making videos only like 9 months ago.
Yeah, I mean, wait, so you didn't do anything before like the All Gas No Brakes videos that we started seeing?
Pretty much no. I mean, I used to do drunk interviews in New Orleans, but that was only for like 4 or 5 months. Pretty much like this is the first thing this is my first major project.
God damn, dude. I mean, it's really good. So you just go out there with like one other person with a camera, and you just roll.
I'll show you right now. So I live in an RV. It's like a 1999 old school Coachman RV. We live in it full time. It's me and my 2 best friends, and we just go wherever we want. We're kind of like storm chasers. We just find out what's going on, and we show up. I put the suit on, and we just start going.
That's awesome. So you just drive around. That's how you get around. That's how you're everywhere in all of the strangest places. Okay. You're also selling the classic beige or gray. Is it gray or is it beige?
It's up for debate. It's kind of weird because it's more like gray, but it comes out beige with this old school VX camera we use. So it's a hybrid between brown and gray. That's the RV right there.
Okay. Cool.
So we live in that thing full time.
That's got to be wild. Okay, so
it's sick.
Okay, so
yeah.
So what happened? So what are your like personal politics, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah. I mean, pretty similar to yours.
That's cool. Okay, that's what that's what you were telling me earlier before when I think I wrote about your shoes. I didn't DM you, but I commented on your Air Max bullets that you always wear. Or are they bullets?
For sure.
Yeah.
No, they're Air Max 95s, but I got these new bullets, and I also wear like Cortez a lot. Just old school Nike shit.
Yeah, no, they're dope. It's sick. I think it's another memorable part of your full fit. But now you're selling now you're auctioning off the beige or the gray suit on eBay, and all the proceeds are going to what, BLM charities?
I'm splitting it 3 ways. So I was gonna do for sure. 1/3 is going to the George Floyd Memorial Fund. 1/3 is going to go to the National Bail Fund, and then 1/3 was going to go to Campaign Zero, but I've heard some things about them, so we're reevaluating that.
Okay. And here it is, by the way, if you guys want to partake in the bid. It's done in 1 day and 4 hours, I think.
Yeah, done in 1 day and 4
Okay,
hours.
129 bids so far, and it's up to $23,100. Let me just show this for everybody in the chat. The all gas, no brakes, OG gray suit, never washed, condition is pre-owned, shipped with USPS, priority mail. If you want to place a bid on that, you can go do that.
Thanks, man.
Here it is, chilling in the back of the RV.
Yeah, I bought that at Goodwill in Tucson like 6 months ago for $15. So that turnaround is pretty hardcore.
So you started traveling around, you started interviewing people. Like, what are your next projects? Like, what are you gonna do? I suck at interviews, by the way. I'm sorry, and I'm fangirling a little bit too. So,
well, everything's kind of changed after the Minneapolis video. Like, that's been a big transition for my career and audience, because like, all right, so obviously I've made hella funny videos only this whole time, and like that's like my thing. Is like I make funny videos in different places. When all this started happening in the aftermath of George Floyd's murder, I was like, man, I need to do something that is actually like beyond satire, like some, because I really felt strongly about that. So I was like, I saw what was happening in Minneapolis, and I saw that they weren't doing any interviews at the protests. I mean, CNN was, putting helicopter footage on national news. The local stations, as you saw, are 100, 200 yards away. No one's being, spoken to, but everything's being categorized. Even on both sides of the argument, people were saying like, oh, they're doing this, they're looting, they're burning, but people weren't asking why. So I caught the flight immediately. I actually caught the flight at like 7 p.m. and started filming at 11 p.m.
Damn, dude.
So
you put me to shame. I have an IRL backpack, and like my goals are similar to yours, but very difficult to get footage out there. Like I've attended a couple of protests, but it's nowhere near as entertaining as the stuff that you put out, obviously, and still informational.
Now, I guess the future of the show is I want to be able to go between like being super funny and like kind of making fun of shit, and then actually like the flip side of the coin is like I do believe in certain things. So hopefully that's able to come out in a way that's like natural. I guess we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. I'll ask you, I guess, how you made yourself more approachable to everyone that when you were out there. I guess a lot of people know you as the all gas no brakes guy, even though you didn't have the suit on. So that was good.
Yeah, definitely.
Because one of my biggest problems has been I've attended 2 protests so far. One was a black graduate student organization at UCLA, and I tried to interview the organizers, but I was wearing a press vest, like an airsoft press vest that said press on it, but I just looked like an undercover cop. So the entire footage, and this is like all streamed live to 20,000 people, everyone was making fun of me constantly because apparently there was just like people in the background when I was filming, just like giving me dirty looks like, yo, what the is this cop doing here? Like, or potentially like a right-wing agitator. So I'm trying to find ways of looking more palatable and more approachable. I'm a big dude on top of that too.
I know, dude. I was gonna say, I went on your Instagram. You're mega swole. So you are. If you put on an airsoft vest, you look like I don't even know. You're definitely a cop for sure.
Yeah, no, I definitely look like an undercover cop. It was like, how do you do, fellow kids? Like, I'm one of you guys. Actually,
you should wear baggy clothes so fools can't see your like bulging muscles like poking out of your. I don't know what you're wearing, but definitely muscles. I'm still
6'4", so even if I wear baggy clothes, I still look pretty big.
I mean, I'm 6'4" too. I guess I just smile a lot and I nod at everything anyone says. Like I'm just nodding constantly. Like that shit you do. Okay, like whenever you're cheating on a test in class and like the teacher like catches you and you have to like kind of look at them or something like that.
Yeah,
that sort of weird, like fake, like listening, learning face you have to make all the time. That's pretty much how I look at every person. Like, regardless of, my head could be in the clouds. I will look at you like with this intense lecture face.
Okay, I think my lecture face is it just looks disapproving though. When I focus on something, I look like I'm angry. I need to fix that. I need to fix my face is what I'm saying. That's my big problem. When are you ever coming back out to like California or anything like that?
Well, yeah, like I want to come back and like talk to I signed the Absolutely deal with Tim and Eric, so probably I'll like have to do some like meetings out there. I would have been back sooner, but as soon as the pandemic hit, it sucked ass down there, dude.
Your pandemic video is pretty good too. The open back the economy video was pretty great too.
Yeah, that event was like a complete, just like mashup of every conspiracy theorist on Earth. I've never been in it was like all gas no brakes heaven. There's like anti-vaxxers and 5G people and like armed libertarians. It was just like it was insane to witness in person.
Yeah, what do you think about that? Because like, look, I am incredibly fascinated. This is something I've been interested in doing as well. What you're not exactly what you're doing, but like, because I talk about how like interesting America is. I used to go to Oklahoma a lot. I don't know if you've ever been.
Definitely
Highly recommend going to like a gun show out there.
Yeah.
It is incredible content. There's a lot of Nazis, like just so much Nazi shit.
God.
It's insane. But like I've always wanted to interview random strange individuals that I see in like middle America that are beautiful and unique in their own way, and sometimes like batshit crazy. I think you captured that really well. But I wanted to hear your side of it, where like, what do you think when you see these people and they are just all over the place politically? Like, what does that tell you about the future of America or American politics at all?
Well, I think about it like this. Almost every one of those people has fallen victim to a crazy black hole on Facebook. Like this, web of false information, being shared. Like that's how it works, because Facebook is where most of these people do their organizing. So like, if you are part of a certain conspiracy sect on Facebook, you get just wrapped up in this insane world. It's like an echo chamber. It's weird because the internet was supposed to make ideas travel more freely, which it did, but it didn't really create a diversity of opinion. So like if you're a flat earther, for example, and you're part of flat earth groups on Facebook, you're not going to get the chance to debate a round earther. Like you're stuck in this community. That's how that happens. That's how any sort of fringe conspiracy finds a large host of people.
And then they funnel other forms of misinformation through that conspiracy, like flat earth. Yeah, flat earth always, like a lot of these conspiracy theories, at least in my experience, and I'm someone who loves the conspiracy theories, so I'm very fond of all these conspiracy theorists, and I track them, and they oftentimes devolve into almost always into anti-Semitism. Like in my experience,
every time
it's always the Jews. I don't know how the it always goes back to that, but it's always like
I don't know either.
It's always like the Illuminati, but that's a substitute for Jewish people. And
yeah, it's unfortunate because these are very curious, investigative people, obviously, who are willing to put in tons of independent research time, which most people aren't down to do. But yeah, it goes back to the Jews almost every time. Like we're going to the Bigfoot conference next month, and I'm willing to bet that there's someone there who's like,
oh, for sure,
the Jews know about him.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. The funny thing I always notice about conspiracy theorists is also like they are skeptical of like something that they can see, right? They're skeptical of the scientific community's consensus, but then in order to patch that up and make it seem realistic, they have to lose all sense of skepticism for like 700 different things that are psychotic. Like there's like a polar ice sheet wall around the entire planet. Like that's what flat earthers believe, that they're like the earth is flat because it feels flat. And the scientific community is lying to you. And in order to like make this conspiracy work, every flight that you take is also a part of that lie. And that there is a ice wall that surrounds the flat earth protected by the military. And you're like, okay, well, you were skeptical of the scientific community's consensus originally. So how the are you not skeptical of all the other things that you just like heard from a bunch of other random morons?
Yeah, they're self-proclaimed skeptics who have mostly believed the dumbest thing they've ever heard, ever. So that's why it's crazy. So it's like you're skeptical your whole life. Someone was like, hey, man, there is a 500-foot ice shelf that surrounds the Earth in circular formation that no one's ever seen. Yeah. And there's troops, and it goes on forever. And they're like, you know what? That's probably true. But what's funny is like their ultimate last line of defense, like when you show them a photo of like the Earth curving or something like that, or like a photo from a plane that you took, they always say, that's not a photo, that's an image. They'll only believe a photo if they have the raw file. So pretty much they only believe things they took themselves.
Oh, of course. Even then, though, even though it's a fisheye lens, brother. So sausage castle is the ICP compound, isn't it? Or am I mistaken that with something else?
Well, yeah, that's what it's been categorized as. I think Vice tried to push the Juggalo narrative on the sausage castle a little bit too hard. What it really is just a accepting ass environment of kind of like hypersexual misfits.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's pretty much what's going on. There is juggalos there. There's a lot of little people. There's a lot of like people with deformities who are just like living their life. It's awesome. Sausage Castle's a great place, man. They got set up. They got set up by Vice, actually.
They did? Oh, Vice them over?
Yeah, pretty much is what happened. Is like, you remember Eddie Huang's show? I don't know what it was called, but it was like a travel show.
Yeah.
Basically, the team at Vice was like, hey, we want you guys to do all this stuff. We want you guys to have like, dwarves and strippers, and we want you guys to bring out a plate of food and greet us in Mandarin, like all this crazy stuff that was like pre-approved. And then like Eddie Huang, I guess, went there and like got like offended midway through it, and the whole video was just like him leaving, like in the car, like talking a bunch of shit about those guys.
I mean, that's not that surprising. That sounds a lot like Vice. Every part of that story sounds a lot like Vice, from the setup to make it seem more like extravagant or like perfectly scripted setup, all the way to someone with a stick up their ass getting upset and changing the
like
entire narrative.
in the video, Eddie like looks at the camera crew and he's like, "Yo, let's cut this shit, man. This is whack." And everyone's like, "What?" And he just like pretends to do this whole like fake out thing where he like makes it the cameras shut off, and like there's a scene where he's like explaining to Mike, who runs the Sausage Castle, that he has to leave because Mike's being like too offensive or something. But everything was pre-planned. Like they had put on a show for Vice, and Vice turned it around on them. So whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's all true, but I watched it and I was like, damn, that's not the Sausage Castle I've seen. But then again, I'm sure there's been weird moments there.
Okay. Do you guys in the audience have any questions for Andrew before we let him go? I don't want to keep him around for too long. He's got some RVing to do. Probably.
I need to take a nap. Yeah, I need to take a nap and drive to Walmart.
How does he get people to rap? Yeah, how the do you find so many rappers? Why is there always just white freestyle rappers everywhere you go?
Dude, I don't know, but I have a sixth sense for detecting when in the back of someone's mouth is like some bars just waiting to be unleashed.
Everyone is
like when I'm in an event and I look at a kid and he looks at me for a while and I look at him and I'm like, this dude raps. and so I always say like, hey man, do you do any like freestyle rapping? And they're like, oh yeah, you want me to go in right now? I was like, yeah, go in. Yeah, there's rapping everywhere, man.
Have you ever had any like negative experiences with cops when you're RVing around, or have you ever had a situation like that?
Not with cops. I mean, we've had negative experiences with people on the right wing before, thinking that we're like some liberal journalists. We were at a gun range in Bandera, Texas, when we went to the Border Security Expo, and like I guess midway through, one of them on the press team was like, these guys are libs or whatever, and was like, he came in, he's like, who do you guys work for? And they were all like kind of surrounding our RV and like taking a bunch of pictures of it and saying that like we had to let them see the footage before we dropped it, and just creating this really hostile media environment.
Ask him what he thought about Burning Man. Oh, what did you think about Burning Man?
I mean, I had a great time at Burning Man. Like the weird thing about Burning Man is like it's one of those cultures that started off kind of rich in the first place, but it's gotten so like co-opted by all these like international wooks that there's two narratives of Burning Man. One is like Burning Man's paradise, and narrative two is like Burning Man sucks now because it's been gentrified by people in Palo Alto. But the reality is like there's 50,000 people there, so you can have a great experience at Burning Man if you like find the right people. I had a great time. So yeah, it's a fun thing.
I mean, my experience with it, I've never attended, but I only know like girls that have gone from Los Angeles, and it's always just like models that are being shipped in by the dozen, and like very expensive RVs with like AC units and private chefs being flown in by Silicon Valley executives.
Holy shit, dude. I didn't know it was that crazy.
Yeah. Wait. Oh, you didn't see that side of Burning Man?
Well, no, because those camps are private. You can't just, gallivant into these like elite influencer camps. Doesn't
that ironically defeat the whole purpose of Burning Man, by the way?
It does, man. That's what I'm saying. It really does.
All right. I asked you about a Burning Man. Oh, last repost. How expensive is it to RV around the U.S.?
Well, it depends how lavish you want to live. Like if you're down to shower at Planet Fitness and live in the Walmart parking lot and just do that, it's really cheap. It's maybe like a couple $100 a week for gas. It's about the same as rent. But if you want to start being a Holiday Inn Express type of guy, living the 5-star resort lifestyle, then it's going to be pretty expensive. So it all depends what your endurance is for smelling bad.
I feel that. Wait, who have been your influences when you started is another question I got.
What sucks is obviously like everyone's just saying Hunter S. Thompson. That's like,
yeah,
but it's kind of just like, that's pretty like, yeah, okay, yeah. Hunter S. Thompson is an influence of mine. That's all I'm going to say. I don't know.
It's a bit of a cliche, but hey, I think it's understandable. And also what you're doing is the closest to the modernized version of that. So I'll allow it.
Okay, yeah. It's just kind of edgelordy to be like, yeah, like, I don't know. You know what I mean, man?
Wait, are you thinking about like going to the Democratic National Convention or anything like that?
I would like to interview a passionate Biden supporter because I've never met one before.
Oh, dude. Okay. Well, let's see. If you're ever doing an event that I'm also covering, like we should absolutely link up. If you're down. If you're not, no pressure.
I'm hella down. I just want to find someone who's like, yeah, Joe Biden.
Oh,
Like
I
some
can find you
stoked
some
ass.
passionate Biden supporters. They're in my
Holy
chat
shit.
all the time.
That's amazing.
They are nearly as psychotic as Donald Trump supporters. Not as racist, but as overzealous as like Trump supporters are, and willing to overlook many flagrant flaws of Joe Biden, both in his past actions,
Dude, everything, bro. That guy
and
is
his
on
current
some shit.
dementia. All of it. How did he boost his content? Was it a natural phenomenon? Content gets lost in the masses easily, so I'm glad it got noticed. Yeah, what did you like? What blew up for you? What was the first thing that like really blew the doors off this project?
I don't know, dude. Like, I have a theory that if you make the right thing, like whether it's a sick ass song or a really good video, it's just gonna have legs of its own and just go. Like, people have this idea that you need to get like sponsored or something or get like a boost from somebody,
Yeah,
but
no.
if you make some good shit, it just kind of does its own thing. Like, but look at how many viral hits like came out of nowhere, you know, from like SoundCloud or something. I guess the first video that really popped off, I mean, maybe the first event that I covered, which is Burning Man. Yeah, that was
Burning
probably
Man
the
your first event? The first one I saw was definitely the Trump, the Trump book rally, whatever thing. But that's because that's in my wheelhouse. And then we watched all of them. Like I watched all the videos, and it's awesome. So when you were, I know why you covered faces and tattoos of people that you were interviewing. But we want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, love the spirit of justice.
I just wouldn't hate for those people to be maybe harassed or doxxed or something by white supremacist type people.
Yeah, cops also absolutely use that footage. Like they will go through all manner of footage to prosecute people after the fact, and they have been doing that. They did that in I believe Seattle to like an older lady with her daughter in the car when they arrested her, and said that they arrested her over memes, but because they knew that she was attending an event where police were assaulted, they used the memes, Star Wars memes that said ACAB on it, as a justification for why she wanted to harm police officers. So
Jesus.
that's the level of authoritarian proto-fascism that we're nearing now with this government. Kind of weird though. What I want to ask people, and I'm sure you have a better opportunity to do this than myself even, I want to ask those like right-wing libertarians how they feel about that. How they feel about Donald Trump being so deeply against the First Amendment.
Their whole philosophy is they're so armed because they think that maybe one day a fascist leader will use lethal force against his own people for you know, protesting, which is a constitutional right. It seems to me this is exactly what's happening, but the cause of this, it doesn't align with their idea of reasonable protest. That's why they focus so much on the burning and stuff like that instead of the millions of people who peacefully protested. They're just doing gymnastics to come up with a reason for why Trump had to do this and why cops across the country are literally like tear gassing kids.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to ask you about that actually. Do you want to talk briefly about the comparison between the coronavirus lockdown protests versus the other protests that you covered in your latest video? So you went to Michigan, right? The Michigan coronavirus lockdown, or was it in?
Yeah. Well, I did go to Michigan, but I didn't post any videos from it because there was a thunderstorm on that morning. But I went to the coronavirus lockdown protest in Sacramento about 2 months ago. Yeah.
So what were the big differences? Like, what do you think the people were like protesting? What did you think of their like demographic makeup? From what we've seen, it really does seem like those guys are relatively well off, and the things that they were advocating for were like, you know, we need to go back and get our hair and nails done, rather than please stop executing us without any sort of accountability.
Yeah, I mean, there were you kind of just said it right there. Just different stakes, different levels of like perceived oppression. You know, especially with the people at the lockdown protests. You know, they obviously haven't faced much like people in Minneapolis have when they were protesting. So in their eyes, they feel like they're like that lady who compared the lockdown to slavery. If you saw my video,
prolonged lockdown basically is slavery.
Do you feel enslaved?
I do. I'm a type A lawyer, and I'm bouncing off the walls of my living room because I can't go out.
Yeah.
These sort of just like tone deaf comparisons and these dramatized statements made. It's just totally different. I mean, there was certainly a lot more anger in the air in Minneapolis. There's no talk of conspiracies in Minneapolis. You know, that's a pretty big difference. They're saying the cops are doing this, it needs to stop. You know, whereas the lockdown protests is people with signs about 5G saying, you know, do your research.
And
it's
and
pretty
Bill
different.
Gates, the
pretty
eugenics
different
master.
Yeah, it's a different thing. And people ask me, why'd you cover them differently? And I said, because, I think is significantly more valid. It also made you ever notice how like the conscious, like woke sort of community is like also co-opting these right-wing conspiracy theories?
Oh yeah, like anti-vaxxers that are
yeah, that kind of shit. Yeah, I know like a holistic influencer in Joshua Tree who actually had to finally unfollow because she started off by posting stuff like, here's why you should drink alkaline water, and here's why alcohol is bad for your chakra alignment, and but buy my skin cream to reverse aging, that kind of stuff, like pretty benign, like run-of-the-mill conscious bullshit. And as it got more and more on, she's like, oh, the Clintons are involved in child sex trafficking. And I was like, oh, shit, here it goes. And then last week, she just like posted a photo of George Floyd with the knee on his neck. And she's like, he didn't really die.
Oh, yeah,
like,
that's a crazy one.
Over, dude. I was like, I messaged her. I was like, hey, man, I know we've been friends for a long time, but yeah, this is not, just don't talk about that.
Well, that and the other one that they're now engaging in. So they're saying that the Derek Chauvin wasn't even really Derek Chauvin. It's like an actor or something.
Like is he an android or is he a paid actor?
Oh no, he's a paid actor. And then the other one, the other new conspiracy is that the Buffalo PD, which the president just elevated as.
I saw that tweet. That was crazy. I couldn't believe he posted that online.
Yeah. So you saw the footage of the 75-year-old old school Catholic workers protest there. He's like an old school leftist anti-war protester who walked up to cops with a police helmet. I assume to give them back their police helmet and get their badge numbers with his phone. And Trump just elevated an OAN conspiracy theory from One America Network that states that this guy was actually Antifa, and that
that old guy.
Yeah, the old guy's actually
the
Antifa.
Old guy was an Antifa member.
Yeah, and he was doing a common tactic where he was trying to both scramble the police scanners, but also steal information from the police scanners with his weird technological gizmo that he had, I guess, that we don't know what it is. It's a phone, but and the technology doesn't really exist, but apparently it exists for Antifa. No one told me.
I guess they finally found the leader of Antifa. Thank God.
Yeah. So it was an Antifa cell phone app that simultaneously stole information from police scanners, but also blocked them, and that's why it was. And also he took a dive, and the subsequent conspiracies are that the blood from his ear is an overreaction, so it's probably fake.
He had a packet of ketchup in his ear, just ready to fall on his face.
Yeah, that's what they're claiming. But
that makes a lot of sense to me, man.
Yeah, the real thing is that he was most likely on blood thinners. Apparently, has pancreatic cancer or something. So that's probably why his ear immediately started leaking blood. But what do I know?
Yeah, that video really me up for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 75-year-old man getting pushed into the concrete by dipshit cops. So
yeah, I think all those cops resigned too. I don't know if you saw that.
So they didn't actually resign. I don't know if you know the story. So 57 police officers resigned, not in solidarity with the old man, but they resigned because they were prosecuting the cops that pushed the old man. They were like, "Fuck you, we're resigning because you fucking put a slap on the wrist of these other cops for pushing an old man in the concrete." Not fired, by the way, just suspended without pay.
Damn, 2020 is the worst year ever, man.
Yeah, it's pretty. What's your dream event to cover?
Man, probably. That's a tough one. In my head, I've always wanted to cover the gathering of the Juggalos, just because I know people have done it a lot, but it just sounds so fun. I feel like I would do such a good job. But my dream event, I really want to go to a full moon party with Wook backpackers in Thailand. I want to do some international hostile bro shit.
Hell yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it would just be so out of this world to just because those are some of the most content producing interviews ever. Oh yeah. World traveler people in India and shit. That's amazing. I'm sure you know kids like that if you've gone to college.
Oh yeah, of course.
It's explore America first. America's so interesting, and they just go to some third world country and come back with this chip on their shoulder. It's man, if you haven't been to Nebraska, I don't even want to talk to you. Sorry. You know what I've been thinking about a lot with all these people coming out as all of a sudden anti-racist on Instagram and stuff. I think people need to apply this same framework to gentrification.
with anti-racism. Well, I mean, gentrification is absolutely it's normalized and overlooked exclusively because of the same foundational principle. It's white supremacy still.
Yeah, of course I agree. I'm just saying, so many of the people that I know who are like on the left posting stuff about anti-racist dialogue and training are the same people who live in places like Bushwick or Echo Park.
Oh yeah.
No, it's kind of like, I wish people would like kind of look within and be like, hey, it's not just about the stories. It's like live what you're saying, you know. Yeah, gentrification has always been. I want to do something funny, some kind of funny video piece about it, but it destroyed my hometown, Seattle. So
oh really?
It's yeah, for sure. And when Amazon moved in, like everyone I know got priced out of my home neighborhood, which is called Capitol Hill. So it's like
which is what AOC was pushing back against, which was absolutely hated by everyone on the island. Everyone in Manhattan was like, oh, what the f-? Like, no, it's good that Amazon is coming in there. And yet her community was firmly against it, and they successfully pushed back.
I just think I really care about gentrification and anti-gentrification measures, and I always have. So I don't know. I hope that the same people who live in these gentrified pockets of the city and are, you know, participating in activist work really put their money where their mouth is in terms of rent. You know, don't rent in places that you aren't from. You know what I mean?
We'll see what happens to the housing market now that coronavirus has destroyed, like Airbnb, for example, which is yet another way that that people get priced out of their homes, is because wealthy people will come in and purchase like 11 properties and then sit on them because they can just Airbnb it out and like rent it out to numerous people. So
that exact thing happened in New Orleans really hardcore too. So much so that they actually banned absentee landlords. So you can't actually own an Airbnb property unless you also reside in that building. And it's worked out super well for New Orleans.
Yeah, that's interesting that Louisiana, of all places, would take an initiative against the power of capital, considering that it sits on one of the most valuable natural resource on the planet, and has the worst income and wealth disparity, one of the worst income and wealth disparities in the world, where like in the same zip code you have some of the poorest people in America and some of the wealthiest people in America. That was something that was really interesting that I saw in New Orleans, at least, like where like post Katrina there are just entire neighborhoods that are still completely demolished. Like it's like a decade later, and there hasn't been the appropriate amount of recovery.
Yeah, almost every neighborhood that was affected by Katrina has been barely rebuilt. Lower Ninth Ward, 7th Ward, Holly Grove, those kind of places. And Brad Pitt came in and he built like 25 IKEA-style homes right where the levees broke. And even those buildings that he built are like being condemned and stuff like that because they were built so poorly.
Yeah.
So you should definitely read about what happened to the Brad Pitt homes. It is.
People keep asking nonstop about this, so I have to ask you, what is your fursona?
Oh, okay. So I had this lizard who died when I was 8 years old. This is a traumatic experience. So I got him at the Renaissance Fair outside of Philadelphia, and the asshole who sold me this lizard told me that he would live until I was 13. So 6 months later, right? It's the American Idol finale. It was Carrie Underwood versus Bo Bice. I was 8. I was a huge Bo Bice fan. So I'm sitting there in my Bo Bice t-shirt. I can't wait. And they're like, Carrie Underwood is the American Idol. So I'm already scream crying at the TV. And then I go into my room to get some, find some peace. And Snakey is sitting there on his back just dying. And I'm like, Snakey, no! It was the worst night ever. So my fursona wouldn't actually be a fursuit. It would be a scaly, which is a reptile. It would be a giant scaly, and his name would be Snakey, in homage to my dead lizard who died on that fateful night.
You're a scaly. Okay.
I'm a scaly. I would be an 8-foot tall scaly with giant biceps, and it would say Snakey on the front. And I would sing Bo Bice songs. I'm sorry
to hear about your pain. I did not mean to laugh there. That was
no, it's pretty funny, but rest in peace,
Snakey.
He was a real one. He only lived 6 months. So that dude at the Renaissance Fair who told me he was gonna live 6 years, you. Rest in peace, Snakey.
Tell him to go to a Wall Street convention. I feel like he's not going to be able to shove microphones in people's faces in the Wall Street convention and definitely get kicked out.
I'd like to ask really tone-deaf questions about the Wolf of Wall Street.
I love that. That's awesome. Does he plan to pimp his RV? Do you plan to pimp your RV?
Well, okay, no, because I bought this RV for $10,000 and I want to be able to resell it for like around $10,000. If I do any dumb shit, like put an external speaker or get some underglow or like raise it or wrap it in all gas no brake stuff, it will be, you can't resell it. Also, did you know how annoying it'd be if I had my own face wrapped on my RV? It would be a nonstop harassment session.
Oh yeah. Oh, everyone would. Yeah. Like right now, you can at least hide in Walmart parking lots, but if it's wrapped around with your face, it's not. You're not hiding no more.
Yeah, yesterday I was like chilling on the Walmart parking lot though, and this dude, it was in Atlanta, and this dude like knocked on it. He was like this old ass dude, and he was like, "My wife's a huge fan of your videos." And I was like,
really?
"Where's your?" Yeah, I was like, "Where's your wife?" She like walks out from behind a tree, right? And he just like, I guess he like put his foot down, and he just like stepped on his wife's foot like hella hard. Like 10 seconds after we link up, and she was like, "Ow, my foot!" She was like screaming about it. And I'm just like, I have my pajamas on. I'm like, "Oh, this is getting to be too much." And she was like, they started arguing about it. He was like, "I didn't mean to, babe." And she was like, yeah. She's like, "Yes, you did. You're always stepping on my toes." And I was like, "All right." So I just closed the door.
Damn, that sucks for her. She couldn't even get an autograph. Is there an event that you wouldn't cover?
Damn, that's a really good question. Event that I wouldn't cover. Well, now that I know that I can actually try serious stuff, no, I'll cover anything for sure. Maybe I probably wouldn't cover something like Charlottesville.
Like a Klan meeting or Charlottesville, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's two outcomes. Outcome one, you end up giving a platform to some f***ed up people, like, and then outcome two, you make fun of those people and they try to come find you and kill you.
Can we ask about the Tim and Eric deal? Can
Sure.
we?
Yeah, it's public information now.
So what is it? What does it comprise of? What's the deal?
It's a development deal for a network TV show.
That's pretty cool. Do you know where it's gonna air or nothing like that? Or
no, I mean we're not sure yet. I mean, probably all the usual suspects will pitch to, and then whoever wants it.
That's
It's going to be a similar concept though. The same idea, just cool, crazy events. Eric really liked the Minneapolis video. He texted me this morning saying he loved it, so that was like really encouraging.
Do you like Louis Theroux? That's another person that.
Oh yeah, totally. Man.
I was gonna say
awesome.
That's another person that like a lot of people would probably point to with your content.
Yeah, that's like the number one thing people say is Hunter S. Thompson. Number two is Louis Theroux.
And then Borat.
And yeah, people say shit like Borat and Nardwar, and I'm like, God, you're fucking tripping. But they say that.
Okay.
But yeah, Louis Theroux is awesome, dude. That dude is hilarious. Have you ever seen the one where he goes to the casino in Vegas and he like spends a day with that high roller who gets free rooms at Caesar's Palace and loses and gains a shit ton of money every few days?
No, but that's precisely what I'll be watching right after this.
Yeah, you gotta check it out.
Now that I know that exists, my favorite is the Louis Theroux with the Black Israelites. That's like one of my all-time favorite videos, hands down.
Yeah, one thing that I like that he does is he asks like super kind of like fake, awkward, invasive nerd questions. Like when he goes to San Quentin and he's talking to those Aryan Brotherhood guys and he's like, "Oh, which one of you guys is the leader?" Just super like obvious no-go questions just to see how people react. And they're like, "We're not telling you." And he's like, "Why can't you tell me? I'm just a journalist." I kind of want to. I do shit like that too. I ask something that I know people are gonna get like bummed on. Not like a mean question, but like sometimes it's pushing people's buttons in like super subtle ways is good.
Yeah,
he does a good job of that without being a complete dick.
No, you do a great job of that too, because you keep it. Even if you have confrontational questions that you ask that will definitely draw like a very inappropriate response, or it'll draw like a unique reaction, you do it in a non-confrontational way so the conversation keeps going naturally. All right. Yeah, I don't want to keep you any further. Look, you've been meaning to take a nap. Where can people find you? Like, what do you want to plug? Anything that you want?
Nothing.
Nothing? All right. Well, all gas, no brakes. You can check him out. He has an eBay bid going on for his classic gray or beige, whichever way you look at it, suit. All gas, no brakes on YouTube. Do you have any other social media? Or I mean, I know you have an Instagram and stuff, but
yeah, just all gas, no brakes everywhere.
Andrew, thank you so much for coming, and I'll send you those videos, and we'll keep in contact. All right.
All right, my dude. Stay in touch, man.
All right, peace, brother. Thank you.
Peace, man. Yeah.
That was dope. So dope.